Okay, so this past month was September, correct?
Yes.
And it's work time. So yes, this last month was September, and the book that was chosen was What Happened to You by collaboration of Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Bruce Perry. So everybody finished it?
I'm short like 2 chapters, but I finished it. I finished it.
How are you short 2 chapters but finished it?
Because I got like the gist and I went through, but I am short too. So, but I am going to finish them because I
She
really
went through my highlights.
I did not go through your highlights actually, but I did was really enjoying it. So, I like get the concept, the main huge idea. And yes, so when we get to 2 chapters, if there's things that I haven't heard, then I will just go back to the background. Okay.
All right. Well, this is the book cover for everyone. All right. You can see it's kind of battered because it's a book that is in my office and I use it a lot. Recommend it a lot. So for
I will
anybody out there
say
who's looking for a good one, it's a good one.
it is. And I will say, as a therapist, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm newly starting out, but I am newly starting out. I think it was very helpful for me to just kind of understand my clients a little bit better because I think when we're in school, we get the concepts right, but we don't understand really in depth how the clients receive the concepts in a way. Sometimes I feel like
so my experience was grad school taught you how to help somebody work through these behaviors and thought processes, etc., but they don't teach you why they're occurring.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you are of a psychodynamic, psychoanalytic mind frame, which is not as popular right now. But that's kind of where I come from. Y'all all know, I am a pull the string. So where is this coming from? And let's figure out where it's tied to. And now let's work with that, right? So I think it's a great book, to your point, Ariana. The title is What Happened to You? Conversations of Trauma, Resilience, and Healing. And I think that's the key part, right? If we know anything about Oprah, we know that she experienced a lot of childhood trauma, some pretty gnarly experiences. And so why it's a passion for her, right? I think most of us that are in this line of work, we've got something that we experienced that we either got assistance with or didn't and learned how to walk through it ourselves. But it's because of that we want to help other people. Right? So as I always presented it in the past to therapists, newer therapists, this is kind of the user-friendly version of The Body Keeps Score. Okay? The Body Keeps Score is a great book, critically acclaimed, but it's very, for the lack of a better word, academic, scientific. It's heavy. So if you don't have the mind frame for it, it's more of a struggle to get through. This book is much more user friendly. I get it. It's got great graphics in it. I love the one on the limbic system. Is it? I just saw it. Because this is all about the brain. Oh, sorry. we've got shadow here. Anyways, great book. Dr. Bruce Perry is a critically acclaimed, I believe he is both a psychiatrist and a clinical psychologist, which is fascinating because he's coming at it from both sides, not just a medical, biological component, but the psychology part of it, right? The feeling, lived experience part of it, which is helpful. So, all right. With that, what is your personal reflection on this, right? Oprah frames the question a lot about what happens to you as opposed to what's wrong with you. It seems pretty simple, but what does that language shift do for each of you?
I love this book so much. Like I enjoyed it so much. I have so many little sticky notes
You
were
after my
highlighted
heart.
because I like literally every time I was turning the page, I was like, holy shit. Like this is just so good. It's so relatable. Like, and just I really think it will help for parents, especially too, like, oh, well, maybe this is like why these behaviors with your kid are happening. It's like much, much, much deeper, right? It's more than just the surface level that we're seeing, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
100%. When I worked at a 100% alternative school, all of the kids had been kicked out of their home campuses for, you can imagine, various reasons. But that was the number one thing that we were taught was when a kid is acting out, you don't come at them with what's wrong with you, right? The first thing is to take them out of the situation, the spotlight, right? That uncomfortable attention. People are all staring at me. Why don't you step out in the hallway? I'm going to give you minutes and then I'll step out there, right? They step out and you'd be surprised. I never had a kid run away. They always stepped outside and stood right outside the door, just as they were told. And these were hard kids, again, very hard kids, right? So I would get the rest of my students on task, involved in their next, assignment, whatever. And then that's about 3 to 5 minutes, enough time for their amygdala to calm down. They were taught how to do breathing exercises. We practiced it all the time. Then I would step out there. And again, you've heard me say this, I would drop my voice, would pull out my words, kind of almost in a sing-song rhythm of the heart, right? And how can I help you? That was just, it totally screwed with their mind. They were not used to being asked, how can I help you? It was always, what's wrong with you? Why did you do this? They don't know. They don't know. They were just acting out, right? Their amygdala was acting out. They were trying to self-regulate in some form or fashion. They weren't taught appropriate self-regulation skills. And so here they are, right? And usually after I would say, how can I help you? There would be a pause. They wouldn't know how to respond. Sometimes they were ready to defend, right? To bite. But generally they would exhale. And lots of times there'd be tears. And there are more guys in this school than there were girls, right? As you can imagine, right? Behavior. Anyways, so that's, if I think we came at each other that way, we would have totally different relationships with people, right?
I would say,
what happened to you?
for me, the language shift at like, it just shows and kind of affirms something where I think I didn't necessarily have language to, but I was seeing, right? So we get a lot of clients that come in. I have people in my life that I know, right? That the carrying the heaviness of what's wrong with me and how do I fix it, or I'm broken, or I'm not normal, and like all of these just like negative ways of talking to ourselves about something that are like it's just how our body responded to whatever, for lack of a better word, triggered like the like fight or flight response, right? And triggered our brains to want to protect itself, and to not be able to regulate, right? Um, and so, like, shifting that into what happened to you takes the weight of responsibility off the person who is struggling, in the sense of the weight of responsibility for entirely fixing themselves on their own, or for being isolated, and like you're in the abnormal group while we're over here in the normal group.
I would 100% agree with that. I hear that time and time again. I'm broken. Like, you're not broken. You're not
You're actually working like how you should.
You're functioning, right? And your body is trying to do all the things. We just have to teach it better things to do to regulate, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and something that that I had to put a sticky note is when she said very often what happened takes years to reveal itself. It's not just an overnight thing. Like it takes, you're peeling back an onion essentially. Like,
Yes. I've been working with clients long enough that I hear my words coming back, and it's funny. I just heard it last week. Longtime client that I've worked with off and on for 7 years was reflecting and said, "You told me in the beginning I wouldn't know, that it would take like 2 years before I started to figure out what was it and how I felt about it, and started to heal and do different."
mm-hmm.
And here we are, right? I mean, time and time again. And some reason, I don't know why, we say hindsight is 2020, which is a very accurate statement, but something about 2 years, we're finally able to really pick our head up and turn back and be reflective and go, oh, I get it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, have you noticed ways your own early experiences shaped your emotional reactions as an adult?
Mm.
Without revealing too much, right? We don't want to turn this into a therapy session.
No, I would say for me, I was the people pleaser, or the person who like disassociated well, because my parents fought a lot when I was growing up, and my dad drank, right? So I had to disassociate to like remove myself from the environment. And so I think I didn't necessarily start realizing that until I started pursuing being a therapist, because you have to work on yourself in the program. Like you kind of have to go through all the things.
Right.
And so I
You should.
to a point where now I'm regulating, and I'm recognizing, and I'm able to respond differently in heightened situations, right? And so it's just validating to see that like everything that I've done up till now is possible, not just for me, but for other people. And because I think also in this field, we can get to a point where we feel like we're on a lonely island of like self-help in a way. Like we're on a lonely island of growth while everyone else is okay with just not growing, is what it feels like sometimes, right? And so just recognizing that, me maybe saying to someone I love, like, you can work through this, like, you've got it, right? And them looking at me like, no, it's just you. I can't be like you, right? And you feeling like you want to push others. And so the book is very validating, because it isn't just something that I innately was more resilient than everybody else. There was a process that I went through that other people can also go through.
They have to make the choice,
Yeah.
right? And you hope that you model it enough to where they're intrigued enough to do the work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think for me, something that I resonated with was there was a couple of pages on self-harm. And when I was in high school, I did self-harm and struggled with eating. So there was a little bit on that. So that was like, okay, well, I'm not a weirdo for doing what I did. Like it was just a maladaptive coping technique. I was really just like dissociating. So that was, and I think that would also be so good to share with parents of children that do self-harm. So their mind immediately doesn't just jump to, oh, they're self-harming, so they're suicidal, right?
Yes, yes, thank you. That's a great perspective. And I hope that you will at some point in time feel comfortable enough sharing that because, you know, appropriate self-disclosure, it can really help our clients move forward, right? I know in grad school, they're like, oh my gosh, don't self-disclose, but we're human. And that's what people are coming to us for. Otherwise, they can go to, the chat bots and whatever. They're looking for that human experience. They want to know I'm not crazy, I'm not broken, I'm not weird because I chose to hurt myself, right? Because you're 100% spot on. It's a tool of disassociation, right? And Ariana has heard me say this. Disassociation gets such a bad rap. It is an appropriate skill. Again, when used appropriately. Right? When I was a kid, I would disassociate by throwing myself into books and I would read 12 hours, 16 hours, right? I wouldn't eat because I was reading. I'm so engrossed, right? To the point where, and there's memes that laugh about this, but I close the book and I'm crying because I don't have the people anymore. Those were my people. I knew them.
That's how I would feel with books. Like, what do I do now?
Exactly. And there's this little bit of a sorrow moment, right? Or now, Netflixing and watching a whole series. My daughter hates series. I love series because otherwise I could sit there for, I don't know, 30 days and watch 10 seasons, right? I know that about myself, right? So picking and choosing when you use it, but the whole of it with the disassociation is learning why you're doing it, right? What's so emotionally intense that you're wanting to pull back because it's too much, which again, appropriate, you're pulling back, right? You're not sitting in those emotions. But when we've calmed the amygdala down, now it's time with our safe people to process through those emotions. And that's the piece that gets the bad rap for disassociation because people don't go back and process the emotions that were causing them to want to disassociate in the first place, right? My children want me to disassociate when they've pissed me off and I'm ready to just rip into them. No, they would rather me go read a book, right? That would be a more appropriate response. Than leaning in and using all of those emotions, right? I take that time. I then go figure out what's up and what upset me. And then we'll have that conversation, right? This is what upset me. So teaching parents that's what self-harm is. It's just your kid, like take the heat off of it, take all of the emotions off of it. It is a method of disassociation that gym rats do the same thing, right? That's same thing. Like all of these things, you can make them healthy or you can make them unhealthy.
Absolutely.
the whole point is to disassociate from the amygdala,
The
right?
emotion.
It's- right.
Mhm.
So with his explanation, right, and him talking about how trauma is stored in the body and the brain, what of his explanations, what resonated with you that you will helped you and that you could use with your clients?
For me, it was recognizing like, how did he phrase it? Where it's like you kind of like are relational and then you back off and then maybe you like are like you're building that like safe environment for the client so that they feel safe and they will open up. For it was like for me, I'm like, okay, recognizing that that's what I need to do with like the ones I love who are struggling, right? Instead of trying to help them because they're not in a space to receive anything because they're emotional, right? And so it's good to have like the fun aspects of it, and we are not solely only focused on the thing that happened to you, right? Like we're going in and out of that to create the kind of like the new pathway to opening up more about the thing that has like essentially hurt you, right? And so recognizing that with my clients too, and with the teens and the kids, because sometimes you can feel like all we do is play games in here, like what am I doing, right? But it's like you recognize when they play games, when their minds can go in and out of something, that they start to open up more, even if it's only one thing a session that they like say, and the whole other time of the session you were playing the game, right? So it was just very validating. I think it helped with the imposter syndrome a little bit around that, where it's like it's so helpful that we can get on their level and just have fun with them so that they can open up. Because unfortunately, and I was telling Cece this, like unfortunately, parents aren't doing that. They're staying up here and going, tell me what's wrong, versus you bring out your childlike behavior, get on their level, play a game with them, and they might start talking more.
Relate.
Mm-hmm.
Relate to them. Yes,
Yeah.
100%. The more they can just have a safe space where they're being heard, that keeps them calm, right? If a parent is grilling them, what's wrong with you? Why did you fail that exam? Why are you talking to me this way? All you're doing is ramping them up, right? And then that's the amygdala. The amygdala is getting triggered. That's all about survival. And they can't go to the top floor, right? They can't go to the cortex. They literally cannot think. And the parent just keeps grilling them, right? Or your partner. You know, I see this relationally as well between partners. That is not helping. And that's why playing games in therapy is assistive, right? It's why if you'll go and take a walk, right? The whole nature therapy, walk and talk therapy, you've got that movement that is triggering the base part of the brain and the rhythm and the motion, right? That Dr. Perry talks about. And you don't have that intense eye contact. When you're playing a game, you don't have the intense eye contact. You can look, and then when it gets too intense, you can look back down at the game again, right? So it is this like exposure therapy. Emotions are getting a little high. Whoa, okay, now I need to look down. Okay, I'm feeling better. Okay, now I can look up, okay, that's too much, right? So it makes a big difference, but I think he does a great job of explaining what's happening in the brain and why we do that. And when a parent can understand that, when just as a person, we can understand that, we relate so much better to people. Right?
And going off of that, I like how he talked about like dysregulation and how, you know, we're always pulling to regulate, to seek comfort, to fill the reward bucket. So I feel
Mhm.
like those two things kind of go hand in hand, and how the most powerful form of reward is relational
We're herd
connection.
animals.
Mm-hmm.
We're herd animals. We need each other, right? I always give the example of one bad apple ruins the bunch. That is a real thing, and it's because we need each other. We're very susceptible to other people's energy, and that's that relational component, right? So that's it's why I like having a group practice, because we're able to support each other that way,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It makes
And
me think. Oh, sorry. Of,
I was just saying, and behavior, modeling that behavior for our clients. They
Mhm.
see it. They see the way we interact with each other in the hallway.
Yeah.
They tell me all about it. So it's comfortable to them. That's what they always say. It's so comfortable here.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a visitor, and they said the same thing when they walked in and said hello. Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Mhm. But it made me think. It's like I highlighted two things because with the relational piece, and one that stuck out was like with substance abuse. It's like when someone experiences substance abuse, it pushes loved ones away. Um, and it's like it's the opposite of what that person needs, right? And because it does that, it like they're disconnected from their community. They're like what is going on is like demonized in a way, right? And so it makes the problem worse. And of course, we have to have boundaries with our loved ones, of course, right? But um, it's recognizing that instead of looking at the behavior and being like, why can't you stop or what's wrong with you? And it's like, you know, loving them through it, but trying to see that it's not the substance, it's what's underneath. And this is their way of coping. And maybe no one's ever heard them or wanted to discover what's going on underneath.
Absolutely.
And we always attack the like outside part.
Yep. That's human nature,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're personalizing it. We're actually making it about us, not the person who's going through it,
Mm-hmm.
right? What's wrong with you? That's about me. That's not about them.
Yeah.
What happened to you is about them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just rephrasing that in the slightest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what stood out to you when Dr. Perry was talking about the role of rhythm and movement and relational connection? What was like the biggest piece?
Look at my highlights.
Yeah, me too. I'm not gonna ask anyone to sing song to their partner, but
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either.
I did think that was really interesting, and it just made me even think like that's something I really truly need to incorporate more, like the walking, like just for my own self. Um, but how that even starts like literally when we're like in the womb, like that's so wild to me. I don't know. It's just like kind of mind blowing. Like,
Well, all of that is, yeah, it's, like I said, when somebody is upset, you have to reframe it of what would a good mom, because not
mhm,
everybody had good nurturing upbringing, but what would a good mom do, right? There's the lullabies. There's a reason why we have lullabies. There's
mhm,
right? It's rocking back and forth. The natural whooshing sound of the heartbeat in utero, that's white noise. I mean, that's
mhm,
right. Swings. Everybody loves a good swing. Well,
A hammock.
a hammock, right? Just a gentle rocking. Moms cradling babies, rocking, lullaby, that